Morning on this beautiful, sunshiny coffee talk morning. Oh my gosh, I love this weather. We have Kelly Martin in here with us from Pennyroyle Hospice. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. I almost didn't get you on the air
I
there.
think we maybe should have this outside instead
I
of being
know,
inside today.
right? We should set the studio. All these microphones can be moved outside and just have a live remote on Coffee Talk this morning because, gosh, it is so pretty out there.
Call it field talk. We'll be outside.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Kelly. I appreciate it.
I love it. I enjoy being here every time. Our discussions run the gamut, I think, but I enjoy every moment.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you're right. They do. You know, our last one, you brought your music therapist with you.
Kenna Hudgens.
Mm-hmm. And that was really an awesome visit. My guest after you, she's like, I don't know how I'm going to follow that, but she did. She did really well. It was my neighbor actually, and I
yes,
think
I
you knew
remember
her.
that
Mm-hmm,
the softball player from Caldwell County High
yes,
School.
yes, and she did really well. And you know, it that's the thing about this show. We go from one extreme to another, and it all just seems to flow so well. And I love it. I love visiting with everybody and talking about all the different topics that we have to talk about, and heavy or light or whatever.
Right. It's interesting to listen to because when I left that day, I tuned in as well and listened to your interview with her. And it's just cool, you know. I mean, somebody who's been kind of a local legend, and I mean, she doesn't look at herself that way, but
no,
the reality is she is.
Yeah,
and it's just cool.
Yeah. And that's when I first contacted her. She's like, well, I don't know about that legend part. I'm like, yeah, you are. You really are.
That's
you know,
great.
because it was funny that, you know, I just found that story interesting because I knew her as, you know, my neighbor and Red's mom.
Right.
And, you know, I hear people talking about her in a different context. And so I was like, oh, yeah, all right. Well, we got to see if we can get her on the air.
Well, that was very cool. It was interesting to hear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So talk to me about Pennyroyle Hospice.
Well, let's see. This week is kind of a hectic week for us as far as this is our largest fundraiser of the year week. On April 25th, which is Thursday, at the Bruce Convention Center, we have a dinner at 6 p.m. People have signed up to host tables for us. We have corporate sponsors. Morgan Funeral Home here in Princeton is one of our corporate sponsors. And we have folks coming from our 5-county area just to sit with us that evening. The dinner it's a sit-down dinner, and if you would like to be invited, please call our office, or if you would like to make a donation. At this point, we've kind of turned in numbers, so if we have cancellations, we can fill people in. But we'll have about 400 people at the Bruce Convention, or a little over 400 people at the Bruce Convention Center on Thursday night. And we have one of our patients' family members. She'll be speaking that evening. Her name is Pam Bush. She is a teacher at Hopkinsville Middle School, and we were able to serve her family. And so we always try to get someone who's had a hospice experience to come and speak on that evening. And we're looking forward to hearing what she has to say. But it makes it so much more of a reality for people. And, of course, at the end of the evening, you know, we pass the hat. I mean, it is a fundraiser after all. And we get to just have a good time for a great cause, hear a great story. There's always a video, one of Kenna's videos as far as the music therapy that's always playing. But it's an awesome evening. And what we've found over the years, I've been here 9 years, and when I first got here, our charity care was probably somewhere in the vicinity of about $15,000 a year. That's now up to $60,000 to $70,000 a year. And I think the health insurance mess has a whole lot to do with that, because we're finding people who don't qualify for Medicare, or they don't qualify for Medicaid, or they don't have private insurance. So a lot of folks are falling through the cracks, people who are kind of my age, 50-something, and they're falling through the cracks without anything because they can't afford private health insurance, but yet they are not old enough or don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid. So you've got this group of people who need help, and we turn away no one. So that's what this evening is about, sharing experiences, and we'll also tell who our Employee of the Year is and recognize our employees and that sort of thing. Something I sent to Amy Berry the other day at your sister radio station, WKDZ, was that we have driven to serve our patients. We have driven around the equator 6.75 times this year. So you add,
lot of miles.
oh my gosh, yeah, you add up all of those miles, and that's how far we've gone. And I think we're going to put together a commercial of we've driven around the world to help you. And but that's kind of the mentality of the folks that I get to work with. It doesn't matter where anybody is as far as making sure it's in our 5-county area, of course. But if there's a need to be met, that's the coolest thing in the world, working with a group of people who recognize someone else's need to be greater than anything that's going on in their own life. And it's a blessing.
And I know you only serve the 5-county area.
Yes, ma'am.
However, do you ever, I know we talked about some of the things that you do to help people transition, and some of those are just, helping them to do something that they've always wanted to do. What's the farthest you've gone to help them?
I think one of the cases that comes to mind, we had a young man who was teenage years in the Trigg County area, and they were going to move somewhere up the other side of Louisville. And we'd had this little guy and I say little guy because even though he was in his teenage years, he looked like he was maybe 10 years old, and hands were all cramped up, and stomach was distended, and I mean just looked so bad. But we were able to take care of him for that period of time. But when we found out they were going to move, mom needed to move, financial things happening, we made arrangements in the other side of Louisville to help them transition as smoothly as possible. There was one night that we wound up putting them up in a hotel in Katie's because they just needed a place because they had to leave their place, but they couldn't get into the new one. So we had people step up and say, you know what, we're not going to leave them homeless for a night. We're going to put them in a hotel, and we did. Made arrangements for them, and then they transferred on up to Louisville, and he lived for about another 8 to 10 months, and then they let us know that he had passed away. But to be able to be a part of something like that, and people stepping up and saying, hey, we're not going to allow something bad to happen to these people, we're going to keep taking care of them no matter what, that's just cool. And again, that's the kind of people that I get to work with on a daily basis. I'm not going to tell you that every day is roses and sunshine, because there's ups and downs, and there's hard times, and there's times where you feel like you get punched in the gut whenever you've been taking care of somebody. That was a stool moving, not me getting punched in the gut. But it feels like it's just so painful and so hard at times, but yet the rewards, I don't know if you've ever been in to visit someone in the hospital and you go in and they're just in horrible condition, but yet by the time you leave, they have uplifted you, and you're going back to what is kind of a normal world and a normal life. You're like, good grief, what is my problem? These people have all this affliction or all these things going on, and yet they make you feel better. And we get to do that on a daily basis, so it's cool.
Absolutely. What has been your most fun adventure with someone that you've helped in hospice? I
think some of the most fun things are also some of the most emotional things, but with the kids' camps, those are just cool. We have a blast with young people, and having lived kind of a sheltered life. I mean, my parents are 88 and 87 years old, and they just drove back to St. Louis this weekend from Hoptown and went to visit my 90-year-old aunt who had her birthday party, and then they went to the farm up there and went mushroom hunting and came back last night. So to me, that I've lived a sheltered life. I've not had to deal with some of the things these children have had to deal with. We've had stories, even back from when I was in Tallahassee, of dad getting shot and being in the child's arms and the child watching dad die. I mean, that's what kids camps, those are the kinds of people we're taking care of. So those are the fun things. The little personalities are awesome. Some of them are funny. I had 3 little kids sitting in the back of my truck one day. We'd been out part of the camp was to go horse riding. And so we came back, and I had the 3 little guys in the back of my truck, and they wanted something other than my country music, so I switched the station for them. And but I heard them talking in the back seat, and one of them was like, so why are you guys here? My grandpa died, and I really miss him, and that's why I came today. And the other little guy, who's 9 years old, looks around and he goes, well, I'm here because of my mom. And my mom's not here anymore, but this is kind of my way to remember her. And then you get to the third little guy who's like 10 years old, and he shares that it was his brother, and you hear this conversation in the backseat of your truck, and you're like, wow, this is great. Life is good for me, because these little kids in a safe zone in the backseat of my pickup truck are getting to talk about things they could not talk about at school. And so to me, those are the happiest moments. Those are the moments that make it all worthwhile. Not long ago, the Trigg County EMS service helped us get a guy out to go fishing at the lake one more time. Those are the moments, and I wasn't a part of that as far as actually being there, but some of our folks were. But those are the moments that you look back and you go, wow, we preach living to the fullest, and that truly is. What these kids are experiencing truly is. And we had one funny story from the kids' camp one year, and this involved my stupid self.
Before you get into that, can you back up just a minute and tell me about the kids' camp?
We have a children's camp. It's a grief camp. It's called Camp Sunrise, and it'll be in June again this year. And I believe it's right around June 20th. I'll get the exact date when I come back, because we'll be about a month out when I come back. And but we set up for the kids, and it's an all-day event. So when the kids first come in, we greet them, of course, and there's some snacks, and everybody's kind of relaxing and chilling. And then when the meeting starts, what happens is, or what happened last year, I'll give you that example. We have the kids, if they're willing, come up to the board and write down the name of the loved one that they have lost, and they'll put that on the board. Maybe say something about that person if they want to. Last year, I believe it was last year, we had a mural that had been drawn, and so the kids were able to go up and put the name of somebody wherever they wanted on the mural. And the rest of the day then is filled with activities for the kids that are activities. For example, one year they made little masks that on the inside of the mask was things that people don't know about you, the side that would face your face. And on the outside was the things that people do know about you. And kids are able to express those emotions and those feelings that they don't share everywhere else. That inside of the mask was kind of their private thing of, I wish my mom could hug me one more time. I wish my dad could go to my soccer game. I miss my dad. Whatever. All of those things, and when you read them, they are tear-jerking, gut-wrenching things that these kids are feeling, but yet they're able to express them in a safe environment. So we have activities like that throughout the day. We have music therapy there. They create songs or make songs about their lost loved ones. Then there's also playtime and outside and just having a good time all the way around. And we have kids who come back from year to year. That we had a young lady in Tallahassee, Florida when I was there, that she would come back every year. Last time, I think she was like 16 or 17. But she called this her day with her dad. And she would wear in a T-shirt that had a picture of her and her dad on it. And so for these kids, it's a time to reflect, but it's a time for healing, and it's time for healing in a safe environment.
Okay. All right. And we'll get more information on that. You said next month about the cost and the...
There is no cost.
Okay. Okay.
So that's another reason we do fundraisers.
Okay. All right. Okay. Go ahead with your story. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It's just we had the kids camp that year, and at the point in time where we go outside and everybody just kind of runs around or plays basketball or does whatever, they decided they would run races. And so there's a couple of little 12-year-olds are like, hey, Mr. Martin, come run a race with us. I was like, okay, cool. So my little pudgy who hasn't run self gets over with them, and I take off, and they're like, no fair, you cheated, let's do it again. I'm like, okay. So we take off a second time. First, about 10 steps in, my right hamstring goes out. I take about 2 more steps, the left goes out, and the next thing I know, the pudgy old guy is on the ground. I cannot get up. They literally had to come carry me and put me in the back of an SUV and hauled me up to my office. And she said, go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor. They gave me a shot. But it was like, holy cow, how embarrassing with these kids. They thought it was the funniest thing they'd ever seen.
Absolutely.
So
I'm sure.
it was, so those are memories that we have, and I still get made fun of around the office for that one.
Oh, that is funny. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, so next time to stretch and warm up.
Shoot, there won't be a next time. My running days are over. I just proved that.
You are not going to play anymore.
No, I will run to the bathroom or to the refrigerator, but that's going to be it.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, Kelly, look, I think I could keep you here like the rest of the day and talk about these stories because this is so interesting to me. Pennyroyle Hospice, how can we get involved?
If you would like to donate, or we've touched your family in some way, shape, or form, and you would like to donate to us this week, this is our big fundraiser event, and you could call our office at 270-885-6428, and whomever it is who answers the phone will be able to give you the information on how to donate and give you the address and that sort of thing. We would love to have you be a part of anything we do. We try to reach out and be in the community as much as we can because we feel like that if we're taking care of people and we're asking things of you, then we need to serve back. And that's just kind of the way we view life. I'm on the board of Community Medical here in Princeton as well. And, of course, we have offices in Hoptown, Princeton, and Oak Grove. But, I mean, those are the kinds of things. I'm on the USO Advisory Council. But we're involved in the community because this is our home, and we want to be able to touch lives in all different kinds of ways that otherwise we might miss. So that's why we do what we do.
All right. Anything else you want to talk to us about this morning, Kelly?
I think I'm good if you are, and thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. All right. Kelly Martin-Pennyroyle Hospice. My words are not coming out this morning. Give them a call if there's anything you can do to help out with the fundraiser coming up this Thursday.
This is your breakfast wake-up call from Panera Bread. Don't start your day with a greasy processed breakfast. At Panera, breakfast to go